Hello, everyone. Welcome to tonight's program, Ayurveda and Heart Health, the Power of Mind and Spirit, with Dr. Somesh Kaushik. Doctor.
Good evening. I'm sure everyone have been staying home and be safe. Again, those of you who have not met yet, Happy New Year. So Ayurvedic medicine is the oldest system of medicine. Started about 5,000 years ago. Some texts is 10,000 years ago. Is an oldest system which deals with individualized medicine. Basically, the medicine prepared or prescribed or suggested is only for you based on your body type. Many of you have attended lectures before, so I'm sure by this time you do know what body type means or body constitution means, which we call dosha in Ayurveda. So those doshas are specific for your dosha. You could be vata, pitta, or kapha, and based on the combination of your dosha, the supplement or herbs or food is suggested. Heart is one of the vital organs, even though we do know that we have so many other organs which are equally important. But again, heart, brain, and the lungs, which we consider the breathing and the pumping of the blood, and also the brain function, thinking, motor and sensory directions, all these three are considered as the vital organs. And that's what makes heart one of the most important. Other thing is, whatever we are circulating in the body, whatever we are consuming as a part of our food, solid food, liquid food, or the food of thought process, whatever we are thinking, whatever we are worrying about, whatever we are stressed about, all that actually is running through our blood vessels, and that is going through the heart. Whatever is in the blood vessels has to go through heart. So heart becomes the central organ of the body, where everything in the body does go through heart and affects the heart in a good way or a bad way. And for that reason, since everything goes through the heart is one organ which gets affected the most with whatever we consume. And also for that reason, heart diseases are considered as the most prominent and number one reason of death in this Western culture. So when we're looking at why heart health is so important, we're looking at what makes it important, what is causing it. So we're looking at the Center for Disease Control. We know that is a central agency which collects information from all over the world. And according to that, heart disease is the leading cause of death for men and women and people of most racial ethnic groups in the United States. So that's the number one killer and has been the number one killer for many, many years. This is nothing new. And when we look at those, and this is an old data because CDC takes few years to compile and finalize the information. So before we get that, it is already old. One person dies every 36 seconds in the United States from cardiovascular disease. So we know how serious it is. About 655,000 Americans die from heart disease each year. That is one out of every 4 deaths. So basically, we see that heart disease costs the United States about $200 billion each year. $219 billion each year. That's a lot of money. So when we're looking at all these other combined disease, heart disease probably costs the most. Again, this is the data came from 2014 to 2015. This includes the cost of healthcare services, medicine, and also the lost productivity due to death. So when you look at the heart disease, it is the number one killer, and it is preventable. So Center for Disease Control also says that it can be prevented. Most of the heart diseases can be prevented with our diet, with our lifestyle change, and also the lifestyle, also our thought process. So when we change that, that's where the mind and the spirit comes into play, because when we are under stress, continuous stress, so the long-term continuous stress cause the these most serious effects on the heart, damage to the heart, and also the kidneys. So kidney also play a role in the heart health. So when you're looking at the stress actually is the number one factor which affects both of these, and without even knowing the physiology of that, but it does affect. So basically, that is where we come into the mind part. Coronary heart disease is the most common type of heart disease, killing 365,914 people in 2017. So that's already 4 years old data. About 18.2 million adults age 20 and older have coronary artery disease, which is about 6.7% of the total number. About 2 in death, 10 deaths from cardiovascular disease, basically, or coronary artery disease, happen in adults less than. We're looking at the age group, which is younger population, and in that case, we should be looking at the individuals who are basically not be considered as old or as a senior citizen, but something which can happen at a young age also. So when we're looking at the coronary artery disease, we need to be careful. What is coronary artery? Coronary artery is the artery which supplies blood to the heart itself. So if something is happening in those arteries which are supplying blood to the heart itself, then of course heart does not get the enough nutrients, enough blood supply, enough oxygen, enough energy, and that have the possibility of getting damaged or stopping. In the US, someone has a heart attack every 40 seconds. That is basically, by the time we just finish our talk, we will know that hundreds of individuals already had heart attacks. This is not a, basically, if you are having 640 second every 40 second a heart attack, that is a serious issue. Every year, about 805,000 Americans have a heart attack. So basically, you need to be looking at this. Are a lot of people. 605,000 are a first heart attack, and 200,000 happen to people who already have heart attacks. So that is again second heart attack. And what also is suggested by the cardiologist, that if someone have the third heart attack, then the possibility or the survival rate is very, very low. So the prognosis is not that good. So again, we are looking at the prevention, not much of a treatment, because Ayurveda talks about preventing the heart disease. Why go through the treatment when you can prevent it? Why you go that far? So why not do something to begin with? About 1 in 5 heart attacks is silent. So damage is done and the person is not even aware of it. So that silent heart attack becomes the most serious one, because person is looking for, and most of us are looking for some kind of signs and symptom. Until the signs and symptoms are there, we are not careful. So when somebody have a heartburn, until then they are not quitting the spicy food. Or until somebody having a issue with their sleep, they will not take anything to take care of their evening health or night health, which means not sitting in front of the television until 11, 12, or 1 o'clock, not having alcohol, or not having something late in the evening, late food. People you sometimes eat at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. So in that case, we are not actually taking care of ourselves until the body have damage already being done. What also says the medical models that by the time we see signs and symptoms, the disease have already manifested, started 5 to 10 years ago. So it's already deep into the body, and then we are going to doctor and look for a quick fix, thinking that I go to doctor and doctor give me something and I feel better within 2 days or 2 weeks. That doesn't happen. So by the time we seek the medical care, it is already many, many more years, because most of us are looking for over-the-counter thing. We become self-doctor, or we discuss Dr. Google or Dr. Yahoo, and then from there we will keep trying things, thinking this is going to work. So by that time, when we have serious issues, or we have skip beats, or we feel that maybe I have the atrial fibrillation, or something is happening when I start skipping heartbeats, and or the blood pressure is too high, and I have basically the headaches, and then I get concerned. Then I go to doctor, and doctor gives a bad news or a good news, depending on how you take that. Even though every bad news could be a good news, because at least you found out what is going on, so now you can take care of it. So instead of thinking as a bad news, we start thinking positive as we go through this discussion, because as our thought process affects our heart health. So why not think positive? Why not think something good? Even the bad thing actually turns out to be good if we take it positively. So positive thinking is very, very important. So the risk factors of the heart disease: high blood pressure, which is generally caused by the high blood cholesterol; smoking, drinking, having foods which are very high in fat, and several other medical conditions and lifestyle choices can also be put people in higher risk for heart disease, and that will include diabetes, number one. And diabetes actually is a multi-organ disease where many organs are involved. Of course, pancreas, the liver, digestive system, the kidneys, the brain, of course, the heart, the circulation, heart. So because it's involved many organs, then it is the number one factor which affects the heart of the patient. And so in that case, it is very important to also look at the blood sugar level. But in general, any underlying condition, any pre-existing condition, anything which happens in the body tells us that there is something abnormal happening in my body. There is something abnormal happening in my body physiology. There is something wrong the way my body processing the food, the information, the metabolism. So all that, and if you can't sleep, then also something is deeper. So not getting a good sleep is just not because you don't sleep. No, there is something happening which is irritating the system inside the body, and the circadian rhythm is also messed up, so we are not able to relax when it's time to relax. So the night hormones, when all are not produced, when looking at the melatonin, all these things, they're not being produced as the dark comes. Another thing is, with the electronic age, we have so much electronics around us, which means their electromagnetic field, which interferes with the brain waves and the heart waves, and also the light. So the when you're getting a good sleep, the make sure is completely dark. So in that case, when we look at the heart, all these are affecting the heart, because like I said before, everything goes in this body, it goes through the heart. So diabetes becomes the number one. Overweight and obesity. So we know that again, most of the people who also are obese also have higher probability of developing diabetes. So because of that, WHO, or World Health Organization, many years ago, came up with a new term called diabesity, which means most of individuals who are obese also have higher probability of chances of getting diabetes. So basically, this is a combination of diabetes and obesity go together. Unhealthy diet, which have mostly animal fat or excessive fat, or people who are consuming basically animal fat, which is basically coming from red meat, also not having enough fiber. So those things we need to be looking at. Also physical inactivity, people who are not active, they are sluggish, they are slow. And who are these people? So when we put the Ayurvedic perspective, we will know these are individuals who are more kapha people. Excessive alcohol use, and that is also affecting the body health, mostly the liver health. But Ayurveda says liver is the organ which breaks down the body fat. So bile, which is produced by the liver, stored in the gallbladder, helps basically emulsify and break down the body fat. So in this case, when we are using excessive alcohol, and I have individuals who drink 6 glasses of vodka every day, 6 days a week, and will tell they don't drink much because they're comparing with their friends who will finish the bottle and they don't finish the bottle. But that's not the measurement. If you're a social drinker once in a week, once in a month, that is fine, but not every day. So when you are having every day and you have many drinks, and many individuals who also drink and smoke, on top of that, they drink, smoke, but also empty stomach. So when there is no stomach, there is no food inside the stomach, the 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 gland inside, the lining of the stomach are basically overstimulated, produce more acid. So now you have acidic built up in your stomach, and for that you may take Nexium or some antiacid that is going to do more damage. So in this case, what you're looking at, the food, we have to eat something in case you have to take a drink or two. Make sure you have good protein or something in your body, in your stomach. So not something empty stomach. And so in that case, you have to be very careful. So looking at the risk factor, generally high blood pressure is considered the direct one, but again, high blood pressure is also influenced by the high blood cholesterol and smoking effects, because not only it is being absorbed in your lungs, so basically the lungs are associated with the cardiovascular system, because when you're pumping the blood is also carrying oxygen, and the oxygen which is coming from the lungs, if it is tinted or mixed with the high contents of smoke or nicotine, that is going to affect also the chemicals which are in the cigarette or any smoke are going to be affecting your health also. So that also need to be kept in mind. So when you look at the Ayurvedic perspective, we're looking at the heart as the primary location of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha and Ojas, connected to three body channels out of 13 total: Manovahasrota, Pranavahasrota, and Rasvahasrota, and also connected to heart chakra. So in this case, I'm sure you remember what is Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So if you go back to the beginning of the Ayurveda, we look at the 5 great elements, which means everything in the universe is made of 5 elements. The number 1 is space, the empty space, filled with second element, the air, and then the third element is the heat or the fire. The fourth element is the water, and the fifth is the earth. So combination of these 5 make the 3 body types or 3 doshas. Space and air makes the Vata. Vata, because of air, controls circulation, controls movement. Whatever is moving inside and outside the body is controlled by Vata. So it means the blood circulation, the thought process, motor and sensory pathways, exchange of gases inside the lungs, all these are controlled by Vata. So definitely heart is the location of Vata, because Vata actually is the one which is moving the blood. And also it is inside the blood as the pranavata, which is the life force, the oxygen. The pith actually is the one of the dhatu also, but also pith is the combination of water and fire, the strongest source of energy. And the pith also resembles Agni, the heat, but the Pitta is controlling the blood. So whatever we consume, it is the Agni or the heat which will help transform that into the next form of the tissue. For example, whatever we consume during the day or as in breakfast, depending upon our Agni or heat in the stomach, the digestive fire, the body will extract nutrients from the food, and it takes 3 to 7 days depending on how strong our metabolism is, and it becomes part of the body fluid. So body fluid becomes the rasa dhatu. So those rasa, the juices of the food, is the first dhatu, the first extract of the food. Then depending upon the agni or the heat of the rasa or the fluid, the second dhatu is made, that is called blood. Depending on the blood agni or the agni of the blood, the third dhatu is made, that is called the tissues. And then the fat, and from fat to bone, bone to bone, bone to bone marrow, and bone marrow to the genetic material, the sperm or the ovum. So when we're looking at the pitta, the blood is also floating inside the blood vessels and the heart. So it means the pitta dosha is also there. Then look at the kapha, the sluggish, the part which is lubricating inside the heart, and also all of that which is basically the shleshma type, which is lubricating, that is the part of the kapha. So vata, pitta, and kapha, also the nutrients, also part of the kapha. All 3 are found in the heart. Ojas is the strength, the energy, the vital force, the ability to fight against any foreign particles or any organism. It is indirectly our immune system, and that is also in the heart. So people with the strong ojas have strong heart. People with the weak ojas have weak heart. So considering that, the Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, all 3 body types, all 3 doshas, and the ojas are found in the heart. So that is why heart becomes the central organ, connected to the 3 body channels. And there are 13 channels out of these the 3. Manovahasrota is connecting with the nervous system. So whatever we are thinking, whatever the thought process we are going through, it connects with the brain, the thinking process. The prana srota is the prana, the life force. It is the channel which maintains our life. So the life channel is the oxygen. So the channel which contains the oxygen which is coming from the lungs is also connected with the heart. Drasva srota, all the fluid. So in all the blood vessels, we have red blood cells, white blood cells, and the platelets, and then the plasma. So if you look at the blood, 55% of the blood is the liquid part, which is plasma, and about 45% is the solid part, which is basically these red blood cells, white blood cells, and the platelet. So this 55% of the blood, which is plasma, actually is the rasa, the juices, rasva srota. So this circulates in the body. The plasma circulates in the body through the blood channels, which we call blood vessels, the arteries, and that also carries the prana, the life force, oxygen. So in that case, this is connecting to the entire body. And then also the heart is connected to the anahata chakra, which is the heart chakra, or anahata chakra is the heart chakra. So it means all these are connecting to the heart and making sure that heart function is working properly, containing and maintaining the vata dosha, pitta dosha, vata as a circulation, circulating the energy in the entire body, pitta as the blood, and kapha as the strengthening power to keep us healthy. And in this case, this definition we have gone through so many times. Samadosha, Samaganishcha, Samadhatu, Malkriya, Prasanna Atma, Indriya, Mana, Swastiti, Abhidhyate, which means that the doshas, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, have to be in balance. Agni, which is the fire or metabolism, has to be in balance. All the seven dhatus, which are the fluid or extract of the food, that second will be the blood, tissues, fat, bone marrow, and the genetic material. All those need to be in balance also. Malkriya, the excretion is very important. Excretion on timely manner and excretion on daily basis without any constipation, without having diarrhea. So when we talk about the dosha, agni, and the mala, we also think about the organ which is controlling all this function, that is the digestive system. So it means the heart itself, we want it to be balanced. The brain, we want to be balanced. The lungs, we want to be balanced. The kidney, we want to be balanced. But all these organs do not eat. They are depending upon what is being supplied to them through the digestive system. So we are what we eat, and what we are what we absorb. So in this case, but this definition, which is coming from the World Health Organization as the best definition to fit the health, is samadosha, samaganishcha, samadhatu, malkriya, prasanna atma, indriya, mana, swast iti abhidhyate. So it means that all the doshas need to be balanced. The agni and metabolism have to be in balance. The dhatus, conversion of the food, need to be in balance, and the excretion need to be in timely and balanced. And also, when we look at that, the atma, the soul, have to be happy. So we need to feel happy. How do we feel happy? When we are only thinking about ourselves, when we do not do anything else for anybody else, and we do not have a purpose in life, doesn't matter what we have, we still are lost. I've seen many individuals who have plenty of money, everything is there, whatever we can think as a source of happiness in this monetary world, they have all of that. But then they are suffering from mental conditions because they are not happy. And that happiness comes from their soul searching the soul, what they are missing, what makes them happy. If something makes them happy, that is what the purpose is. Maybe doing something for others, maybe helping their neighbor, maybe helping people who are handicapped, maybe helping people who are poor, who don't have all the resources, maybe helping the birds. So we have individuals who actually find all these animals and birds who are hurt, and they bring them home, help them, put them some kind of bandage, something on that, basically give them supplements, give them medicine, give them some food. So basically, doesn't matter if it is a bird, if it is an animal, if it is a human being, all these souls are going to give you blessings if you help them, and that may be what you're missing. So prasanna atma, indriya means all these sense organs. So basically your tongue, your skin, your eyes, your ears, your nose, all these are sense organs which feel, which connect us with the universe. And they should be also happy. For example, if it's too cold or too hot, then basically the sensory receptors in the skin will tell you, and you're in pain, you're freezing, or you're too hot, you're burning. So that has to be also in balanced state, happy. When you are smelling something very strong, or when you smell something, you inhale something which is causing you difficulty in breathing. So when you see something which is not happy at all, and you basically, it just shocks you. So all these sensory receptors, sense organ, also had to be in balance. They should be happy. And mana, the inside, the mind, had to be happy also. When all these things are happy and in balance, that is what health means. So all these are affecting the heart also, because again, heart being the central organ is connected. And also when you look at the rasa, which is flowing in the heart, it is taking whatever heart is giving them to the rest of the body. So heart itself is called hridaya in Sanskrit. Hridaya means it gives, it takes and gives. So whatever you put through, it goes is going to give out. Same thing. It is not basically making any difference in them. So whatever is coming, so it is always giving, giving, giving. So the blood, the deoxygenated blood coming from the superior and inferior vena cava, which we call the dirty blood, to the right side of the heart, and from right atrium to right ventricle, and from there it goes to the lungs, where lungs will purify that, clean that, oxygenate that, and that will come to the left atrium to left ventricle. And now the same heart, the left side of it, will pump it out through aorta and give clean oxygenated blood to the rest of the body. So the heart is taking and giving, doing both things, and that is what called hridaya. So hridaya, by definition, is an organ which gives and which takes and gives. But again, in this process, it makes a huge change, because the blood which was given to the heart was deoxygenated, had not oxygen, no energy, and the blood it is giving out is full of energy and have a lot of oxygen, and that actually carrying the prana vayu. It is the blood coming from the left side of the heart, left ventricle, pumping it to the aorta and rest of the body. So in that case, is always giving. So when we're looking at the heart health, we need to know what makes it healthy. So when you look at the body-mind connection with the thought process, what we are going through, so number one thing is stress. So the stress we get are coming from the physical stress, the emotional stress, mental stress, and it's the spiritual aspect of that also, something we are missing in life. And many of that actually come from different karma theory, which again, so much studies have been done from the purva karma or the sanchit karma, what we do on a daily basis. Are we happy with what we do? So we do know as a statistical number that the Monday morning, we have the highest number of heart attacks. Monday morning is the highest number or largest number of heart attacks. And that tells something with our workplace. Most of people before the pandemic, they were going to work and they were not happy with their workplace. So what I would say is, something you are not happy with, why do it? Many individuals I talk to, they said, this is my job. So of course we consider job as a place to make money. But if that is causing you your life, how good is that? Maybe you need to change, maybe you need to speak up. And many times people are not liking at the situation and the circumstances at their job, but they will not speak up. And that puts a lot of mental stress and a lot of emotional stress. So the physical stress is hurting the minimal, mental little more, emotional even more deeper, and spiritual goes to the deepest level. And that's where people will start feeling heart attack or having heart attacks. Also the brain function breaking down the mental function. So in this case, the mental breakdown happens because person is under a strong deep stress, even though we may not call it spiritual stress, but stress is deeper. So looking at the physical, emotional, mental, and the spiritual. So in this case, when we're looking at that body, the Ayurveda tells that we need to be looking at what we do on daily basis. Are we taking care of this body? Human body is the only thing we have to perform all the functions we are supposed to perform in this universe, on this Mother Earth. And for that, our primary responsibility is to take care of this body. So in that case, once we have now, by this time, we know that the things go in this body is the oxygen that has to be clean and that has to be optimum, which means deep breathing is important, and that is where the lung function is important. So in this case, the environment where we breathe in has to be clean. Spraying the chemicals in your room to make the air fresh is not the way. Open the window or open the of the door, and even now when there's a lot of is cold outside, opening door for a little while is not a bad idea. Or now the technology is there, you get a air purifier to purify and recirculate that same air. But having spraying chemicals to make the smell better, all these sediments, all these particles are going to settle in our lungs and cause a lung problem. So the oxygen absorbed in the blood is going to be mixed with the chemicals. And that's what then they're looking at the food, and in that food we have the solid food or also the liquid food. So the water quality, the water has to be a good clean water, and we're finding that most of the municipalities have these treated water, which is basically the sewage water cleaned with chemicals and basically not the best quality. But again, we may not want to install filters. But many of us who have well water also need to get it checked if this well water have excessive sodium, that's going to interfere with the heart. If you have uranium, because many of the wells are having the issue with the arsenic and the uranium, which is coming from our source for the soil. And so we need to be looking at that also. Also, we need to be not adding the drinks which we are don't need, for example, like alcohol or coffee excessively. So if you drink 1 cup of coffee, fine, that is going to stimulate your bile release by the gallbladder, stimulating the liver. But if you are somebody who can drink 10 cups of coffee, that is excessive stimulation. So in that case, you are making these organs work a little harder than they are supposed to be, and you're putting extra stress. So basically looking at the drinks which you should be putting in this body. Having 6 to 8 glasses of clean water a day is what we need, because the rasas also depend on how much fluid you take. So about 70 to 75% of our body is fluid by nature. So we do need the fluids. And then the solid food, it has to be, majority is plant-based. And if you're using fat, that has to be liquid form, which means any fat which melts on your palm in a room temperature is a good fat. Because imagine outside temperature is about 70 degrees. If something is melting to a liquid at 70-degree temperature, inside the body, we are 98.6 degrees, definitely it will melt. But if something is not melting at your palm, that fat should not be consumed. So oil, sesame seed oil, mustard oil, almond oil, olive leaf oil, all these oils are good, but has to be cold pressed oil, not the vegetable oil, because vegetables, I have not seen oil in vegetable. I have chopped a lot of onions, tomatoes, ginger, garlic, cucumbers. I didn't feel any fat in there. So basically that is a synthetic fat. That is not the fat. So basically that is not what I recommend. Also, there are some fattening things like Crisco, or people use sometimes, I can't believe it's butter. So if you can't believe that, don't use it. Something synthetic is going to clog the blood vessel. So the blood vessels are very tiny, clean basically tubes, and there's no brush where you can put through and clean it. So it has to be something which flows smoothly, and it's very smooth, flows smoothly. If again the body heat will keep it melted. So in that case, any fat, when you can try, does not melt on your palm, should not be going to into your mouth. And also preservatives which we keep or put in the food to keep it fresh. Again, generally the food should be taken locally, fresh. But again, if you're taking something cooked somewhere else in the world and coming here in a can, sitting in the aisle for months and months and months, and then you keep that in your pantry for 6 months or a year, that food have lost its value and have a lot of chemicals that to keep it fresh. So otherwise, food should not stay fresh for that long. So in that case, you need to be looking at that aspect also. So the focus is should be on the whole person, the entire person. So if one thing we need to be looking at the conscious interaction between our thought process, between our emotions, between our memories, physical sensation, breathing patterns, also imagery, which when we image things, also or imagine things, and personal narratives. Someone who have no goal in life, if you have no passion in life, if you don't have no purpose in life, that is a lot of stress on your body. A purposeless life have no meaning. So if you want to live longer and healthier, you have to have a purpose. As long as you have purpose, God gives you enough time and strength to fulfill that purpose. When you have no purpose, then at that time, the schedule of your day is filled with crap because then you get sick. So my Guruji tells, if you don't fill your calendar with something good, God will fill that with crap. So basically, something will come because you have to stay busy. If you're not staying busy doing something for others, then you will be staying busy doing something only for you. That is basically because an idol's mind is devil's workshop. You keep thinking, keep worrying, keep stressing yourself. And also, if you have nothing to do, you keep eating something which you not be eating. Sitting at home, drinking beer and eating chips, potato chips are not the best way. And I see that before the snow, you go to some of the stores, people have their cart full of just majority of junk. 90% is junk food, and people sitting on the couch and eating that. So just imagine what they're doing. So in this case, we need to be looking at what you're putting in the body, but more than that is a thought process, the emotions. So doing something for others, even putting some food for the birds, because in the snow there's nothing out there for them. Putting something outside, leftover grain, rice, food, leave it outside under a tree so the squirrels and other birds can eat that. Or if you know that there are friends and family or extended family who may be not having enough, reach out to them. So doing something for the universe, a good thought process, emotionally connected, not having the old bad memories, leave them behind and move on. That is what keeps you healthy physically, because whatever you think is going to affect the type and amount of hormones your body produce. If you are scared, then you have this fright and flight mode. Just imagine those hormones produced. If you are happy, the happy hormones are totally different. They nourish you. So in this case, even during the stressful time, if something you can change, then you should do something to change the situation. If there is something you cannot change, then trust in the nature, trust in the God, and do your best. And make sure you take deep breaths. Generally, we take 12 to 20 breaths a minute. And we do need oxygen on a continuous basis. Under stress, we take shallow breathing. So on average, 14 breaths a minute. What Ayurveda says, when we are under stress, then we take shallow breathing. We're not expanding our lungs, and the amount of oxygen decreases. So why not take a long, deep breath? Hold that for as long as you comfortably can. If you can take a 2 breaths per minute, 30 seconds is not much. Some of you can hold a breath for a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. So hold that for as long as you can. As you're holding the breath, you are increasing the permeability and the elasticity of the membrane in the lungs. So the alveolar sac or the alveolar cavity will stretch. And as you are stretching the alveolar cavity, the alveolar sac, the alveoli stretches, the membrane becomes thin, the gas exchange becomes optimum, and you're able to absorb more oxygen and release more carbon dioxide. So you are trying to increase the total lung capacity. That is very important. So that is basically the breathing pattern had to be there. And if you are not breathing normally, if you're taking shallow breathing, that means that the optimum function of lungs is not being performed. Same thing with the food. You have to use the foods which are easy to absorb, which means a lot of fiber, a lot of soups, Again, keep in mind the nature. The body itself is supposed to be 98.6 degrees. So anywhere 98.2 to 98.6. So it means most of the hormones, most of the enzymes require that temperature to perform the function they are supposed to perform. If the temperature drops, those enzymes or hormones will not be released as much as they should. So in this case, our body does not have all the things it requires to perform a good function. So when you're putting a frozen food, ice cream, cold food, or salad, which is at 40-degree temperature, then you are suppressing your body heat or agni. The hormones will not be produced. The liver will not work properly. In that case, the pancreatic enzymes are not released. And eventually, when the absorption is not optimal, the rasa dhatu is affected, and so does the heart get affected. So when looking at the heart function, the heart requires heat also. So 98.6 degrees is optimum, but again, anywhere from 98.2 to 98.6 is good. Anything hot, and that's why the requirement of heat is there. So we need to have hot shower, hot bath. If you're cold, freezing, soak your feet in hot water every night before going to bed. Consume food which improves circulation, ginger, garlic. And garlic, we have known, is cleans the blood vessel. So basically, warming food, warming soups that are very important. And always think positive. Think positive. That is important. So the biochemical, physiological, and functional disorders may require physiological or biochemical strategy for sport. We need those. So in that case, when we're looking at these biochemical and physiological changes, we should be looking at the optimum diet. And many times we think I eat healthy. But again, because that is what we grew up with. And later on, when you find out that was not that healthy, that's why we were sick, then immediately you should do something to make a change. I have individuals who have been eating pizza for 6 years, breakfast, lunch, dinner, 3 times a day, every day, because he thinks the pizza he gets actually is the best pizza because it has vegetable. Well, all this dough is the majority of the pizza. On top of that, it has a lot of cheese, which is also not the healthy cheese, a lot of synthetic ingredients to make it cheesy. It had a little sprinkle of broccoli and a couple of pieces of onion, doesn't make it a healthy pizza. A lot of macaroni sitting there, or basically, a lot of meat there. So when you're looking at that, pizza is not healthy, but person thinks that is a healthy pizza because I eat that. So in that case, we need to be looking at the diet. Also, in cases when we are not getting enough nutrients, then we come to the nutrient supplements temporarily until we find a combination of diet which should provide us. If your metabolism is not good, then we may want to include some herbs, and some certain herbs are important, as we are finding that the nutrients which should be coming from our food may not be there because most of the foods we are getting from outside the country and many outside the state. So that brings me again to keep reminding every time, buy local, either grow your own fruit and vegetables or you buy from local gardeners, local farmers, because the air and water and the soil, out of 5 great elements, and most of the elements locally are there, which nourishes you and nourishing the same food. And also the hormones is important. So hormones come with whatever you eat, whatever you consume. So stress in the emotional body reflects the feelings, and feeling play an important role in your health. Often addresses old hurts and fears, which have no meaning at this time. We get stuck to the past and never move on to the future. So we need to be basically looking at those, not repeat the same mistake which you took to the place which was hurting. And also, when old thing is there, we need to be looking at what caused it. And if there is something we can do to take care of it, but again, not to keep with us. I have an individual who is 75, 76-year-old, and something happened and as a teenage, haunting her entire life. She could not trust anybody. Again, that's not the only one. There are many, many, many like that who will not trust anybody else because they were abused when they were children. At that time, they were depending on the parents, and parents did not take care of it, or they did not know how to take care of it. But again, now you are grown up, stand up for yourself and maybe be brave, tell yourself. So basically, when we go for a therapy, the best therapist for you is yourself, because you know your body the best. What works, what doesn't work. So in that case, you should be your own therapist, telling, I am grown up now. I will not let the past interfere with my present and with my future. So be strong, be bold, and take charge of your own health. And also, if you have unresolved issues, resolve them. If you have an argument, something with a family member or a friend, give them a call. Visit them if you can. Discuss with them. If it was their mistake, remind them that this is what happened. That is the reason I'm basically not happy with you. This is the reason I'm basically angry with you, or whatever is there. Nicely discuss and take care of it. And if it was your mistake, it's never too late to go there and tell, it was my mistake. I realized, but didn't have the courage to admit that. So basically, let's take care of that one. And also, we look at the long-term pattern. Some people have this issue over and over and over, keep repeating same mistake. If you can't remember, make posters, put on your walls in your office that basically think, analyze, and then speak. But again, also make a note that you take a deep breath when you have emotional issues. So carrying the emotional baggages is very unhealthy. And most of people who have chronic disease, they're carrying old emotional baggages throughout their life. And because of that, they got hurt over and over and over. And the physiological and the mental, the stress they were having entire life has caused the majority of the chronic diseases in those individuals. And we know that 70% of the US adult population have at least one chronic disease, whereas 45% or above have two or more chronic disease. So multiple diseases are being manifesting in the adult population of this country. That's because we have so many unresolved issues and we have not taken care of those. So we need to be taking care of those also. So we're looking at the mind and the body. The physical stress reflects stress caused by individuals' own thought patterns. That is what I am going through, and that is my journey, and that will cause the physical stress. A concept about life or people leading to prejudge and eventually generate stressful consequences. So basically, we just make prejudgment and just our thought process that need to be taken care of. Begin to expect the worst, and also too much expectation often lead to disappointment. So don't expect much. So in this journey, what I have learned over the years, you do your best for yourself, your family, your friends, anybody who comes to your life. Do your best according to circumstances, but do not expect anything from anyone, even from your family, even from your spouse, even from your children. No expectation. If they give you something, that gives you a lot of happiness. But if you expect and they don't, then it hurts. And you expect and they do, then you're not happy because you were expecting that anyway. So my suggestion would be, as what I have learned in my own life, you do based on your own possibilities, capability, do your best, but never expect anything. And also do not hold back of something you can do for others, do it. Those resources will come. But again, not to stress about you're expecting something because you have done something for your friend, you bought them a breakfast, and how come they are not giving you a cup of coffee? No expectation. Whatever they're doing, that's their journey. You make your own journey successful. Reason being, what I believe, whatever I do in life is only for me. And that which we may consider me selfish. So I do everything for me, which means whatever I do is I'm doing that because that makes me happy. If I'm doing something for others, I believe in myself that I'm doing it because that is going to make me happy. In that case, there's no expectation. And I do not expect anything from these individuals. And that is what is the source of energy, which flows all the time, in basically physically, mentally. Reason being, no expectation. And that is very important. And with that thought, we started medical camps many, many years ago. 2008 was the first year in India. And we go every year. Many of you who know that, and some of you who do not and would like to go with us, let me know. It'll be a great journey to go to small villages in India and help people who are not as blessed as we are. So it'll be a good journey to do that. So no expectation. Again, no expectation, no disappointment. The healing resources are already within yourself. Only thing is we need to realize that. Listen to and learn to listen and provide guidance. Provides higher guidance. We know that all the time. We get some sensations, some feeling when we do something wrong. We know something is wrong. So when I've seen individuals when they're doing something, they said, "Well, I had an idea." When you had an idea, why did you continue? Right? It means even you have to hide something, that is wrong. Be true to yourself. You are the best judge. So learn who you are and the purpose of your being here, and you're finding inner peace. Whatever makes you happy, do it. Okay, do it. So that is the first thing. So lifestyle, breathe and deep breathe. Very, very important. So continuously breathing is the most important when breathing from the nose, and hold that as long as you possibly can in your lungs. So stretching lungs is important. Yoga, we know that everywhere there are so many yoga therapists, yoga studios. So basically you should join a local yoga studio. Nowadays yoga is coming home through Zoom, but again when it opens up, go there, meet people. Yoga is very important. Meditation, again, extremely healthy. Taking a break from daily rush and stress, log off, very important. So taking few minutes for yourself, and that's where the practice of yoga, which basically you are doing something only for yourself, physically, mentally, emotionally. Laugh as much as you can. So laugh at yourself if you make a mistake. Talk to family, friends, and your pets. I found pets to be a really good friend, and I also found that they do not tell anybody. So you don't have to worry about your secrets. Tell them whatever is going into your mind, whatever you're thinking. If you are angry at somebody, you go outside and your dog and cat will look at you like they understand everything. And they are there with you to listen to as much as you want to say. They will never tell you, "Listen, I understand what you're going through, but let me go. I need to go to work." They will be there with you. So it's a great, and during this COVID time, and I'm sure you know that finding a pet at the local stores was getting difficult. They were out of pets. They were all gone quickly, and of shelter they were cleaned out within a couple of months. And so many people I know who were afraid and who hated a pet, particularly dogs, now have a dog at their home. So in my own neighborhood, everybody have a dog now. So I see so many dogs outside. So that is a good source, a good friend, a release of the stress. And stay a child. That's very, very important. Or be a child again. Many individuals I see, I talk to them and I ask one question: how was your childhood? And many of the individuals who will tell me the painful process they went through, the painful childhood, the stressful childhood they had, and then at the end, they will tell me one line which doesn't make any sense. Then says, "Well, now everything is okay. I have forgotten about it." So I laugh at that. I said, "If you have forgotten, how come you told me every part of it? What happened during this age? What happened during this age? What happened during this age? You remember every piece of it, and you're telling me you have forgotten? Are you fooling yourself?" So accept that. That was your childhood. So you had a childhood which was not that happy. It's not too late. And person will tell me, "But I'm 68-year-old. Well, 68, young. So why not go out in the store, buy some toys, and play them in your home, in your front yard? Is your yard, nobody's stopping you. So play as a kid. Nothing wrong with it. So if you have not played with toys, play now. Be a child again. And also keep telling yourself, I'm a grown-up child. So that God thinks you are a child. If you make a mistake, he'll forgive you. But if you tell them I'm adult, adults are not forgiven. They have to go to the consequences of that. So stay child, make mistakes. If you make mistake, no problem. Laugh at yourself. Children do make mistakes. Nothing wrong with it. But not be too hard on yourself. Not be too hard on yourself. Keep that in mind. So then we look at the diet. Again, everybody want to think about eating first. So again, many things which can be corrected by the thought process. For example, somebody having an issue with any of the disease. First thing we need in this body to survive is the oxygen. So why not concentrate on your breathing? because that is the life force, right? Take a deep breath, take a deep breath, take a deep breath. Then second thing is the food, is the liquid. Water is important. And then you drink clear water, warm water, room temperature water. So basically, if you keep sipping a hot water or ginger water, nothing wrong with it. And then comes to the food. But again, food has to be matching with your body type, also based on the season. So these are some of the foods which are heart healthy, specifically for the heart health. So we can spend a lot of time on these, discussing those, but I like to be a little, because the time will go briefly. So in the cooking, found ghee to be very healthy. Reason is that ghee nourishes all seven dhatus. It nourishes the body fluids, it nourishes the blood, tissues, fat, bone marrow, and the genetic material. But also, equally good are the sesame seed oil. And if you are somebody who's overweight, you may want to use, or somebody who have kapha body type, you may want to use a bitter oil, which is coming from mustard seed oil. So mustard seed oil is bitter oil, cleans the blood vessels, and also if we have extra weight, it helps dissolve the weight. Or if you are cooking something which is heavy, for example, if you are cooking meat, then you use mustard oil. If you are cooking certain foods which are slimy and basically and kind of little sluggish, for example, potatoes. People make French fries for children at home. See, even though I don't recommend that, but if you have to, then you either bake them or fry them in mustard oil. So mustard oil, being the bitter oil, will make them more crunchy, more tasty, but also takes the starch out. So in this case, when we have starchy things, we may want to use the mustard oil. And the olive oil will come at the end. But again, these oils will be recommended. So any of these you can use will be good oil. But again, if it has any synthetic product, don't use it. They have to be cold pressed. And that is the reason I recommend ghee, because only a purified or clarified butter. There's nothing synthetic. But again, look at the ingredients. If it says mustard, pure mustard oil, great. Pure olive oil, great. Pure sesame seed oil, great. Pure almond oil, great. But again, if it has this added, no, you don't want that. Why? They will add something to the oil. So ginger is extremely important, especially during the winter time. Ginger is pungent. Ginger is also improves circulation, dissolves the fat, good for metabolism. So old timers basically remember their grandma used to make gingerbread. There was a purpose of making gingerbread. Gingerbread was not that tasty, but the purpose was you put a lot of ginger in the bread. So children playing outside, they play in the dirt, they can get in touch with a lot of bacteria, parasite, viruses, and also sometimes eat dirt. So in that case, they put something in their mouth which was not that clean. So ginger stimulates the acid production in the stomach, so that that acid will just kill whatever was in that food. Also stimulates the agni, which means the metabolism. So whatever you eat going to get absorbed. Also improves circulation. So in that case, the circulation, get good circulation is going to clean up the whole body. And we do need that for a healthy heart. So if something is deposited in the heart, for example, cholesterol, ginger will help clean those blood vessels. Turmeric, inflammation is so common nowadays. And we know that turmeric or curcumin is used so much now for inflammatory diseases, especially arthritis. And most of individuals, if you look at they have inflammation inside the body, either in the joints or in the gut or other parts of the body. So using turmeric as a preventive measure in your food is a good source of anti-inflammatory. So maybe if you're using a vegetable or meat for two individuals, putting half a teaspoon of turmeric powder is a great idea. Or putting that in your smoothie. Only thing is, turmeric requires either fat or black pepper or bromelain as a carrier. Otherwise, it will not be absorbed. So many cultures are using in the cooking. So we put oil or ghee first, and then as we are putting other spices, we put turmeric then. So it attaches with the oil or ghee, and that becomes a carrier to get absorbed. Otherwise, it's not going to be. If there's no fat, if there's no black pepper, if there's no bromelain, it's not going to be absorbed. Garlic is like a rotor. Garlic and celery clean the blood vessels, both of them. Celery, actually, I'm a big fan of celery. So having a glass of celery every day actually cleans the blood vessels. Individuals who have high cholesterol must use celery, garlic, and ginger every day, and saffron in their food. So garlic also good for cholesterol, because also garlic, ginger, celery affect the or also improves the liver function. So making sure that the fats are broken down properly, cleans the blood vessels. And celery is like a rotor, cleans the blood vessels completely. So having a putting in the smoothie or having a glass of celery juice, we can take 3 to 4 stack of celery, half to 1 inch of ginger, and also you may want to add half green apple, or if somebody have constipation, then may add half beetroot. So you can make smoothie out of it, 1 glass or 2 glass a day. There is no overdose. Or you can juice, whichever you like, will be good. I prefer smoothie because the fibers are very important, and most of individuals who have high cholesterol have lack of fiber in their diet. So instead of buying the fiber from outside, why not use the fiber which you are using anyway? Why throw your own fiber outside the garbage? So celery is important. Green leafy vegetables, of course, kale, spinach, the collard green, mustard green, all these greens are really good for, so they are bitters, they're good for the liver and also good for the heart. So whatever fat comes from the blood goes to the heart, and through that in the blood, the heart is going to be clean. When heart is clean, kidneys are clean. When kidneys are clean, the brain is also clean. So cleaning the blood. So having green leafy vegetable is very, very important. Avocado is really good for heart health. Walnuts are really important. Beet, basically beet have a lot of magnesium, so it relaxes the, again, most of us who are stressed. So beetroot will be a good thing. Having a beetroot in your diet, it relaxes the blood vessels, also all the muscles, and also the gut lining or gut itself, so you don't have a issue with constipation. And so in this case, using a half beetroot to 1 beetroot a day. So basically, I'll suggest if you're eating lunch, have a beetroot in lunch and have in the dinner. Or if you're not having a good lunch, basically have in the dinner is a good thing. Saffron is the king of spices, basically, even though turmeric is called the golden spices, not because of its color, because it's easily available and it can be used for anything. It is the golden herb, like gold, it can fit anywhere. It's so usable. It's one of the best known antibiotic, antiseptic, antihistamine, anti-allergic. So you can use it anywhere. But also saffron is the king of the spices, is not used much because of the expense. It is the most expensive spice also. But the effect on the heart is basically unbelievable. It strengthens the heart muscle. Also, it brings the blood pressure to normal. So if somebody who have hypertension should use, like I said before, saffron in their food also. So really good for the cardiac health. Green tea, antioxidant, cleans the blood vessels. Fish oil, omegas are very important. Again, they have to be careful. If the fish is coming in a can, you should not use that. If it's a large fish, more than 10 inches in length, in length, then probably it floats on the surface. So the possibility of having heavy metals, mostly mercury, is very, very high. So you should always use a fish which is less than 10 inches in length, head to tail. And so in that case, you are looking for good omega, or you can use the the flaxseed oil or flaxseed powder in your cooking. So the oil or the powder, if you put just the flaxseed, majority of them will pass through the chewing when you're chewing those, and they go through the teeth, and they are not chewed well, and then we pass them in the stool. So we want to make sure that we use the powder in making your curry or making your soups, or we use the oil of that. So that is something very, very important. So diet actually is the big part, and we should make sure that we have a good diet. The Aushadhi, the lifestyle we talked before, yoga, exercise, walking, they are good, important. So now we look at the Aushadhi, the supplements. So during the cardiovascular health, if it is caused by the stress, then we should take the stress first. If it's caused by any other underlying disease, any pre-existing condition, then we should take care of that condition also. If somebody is diabetic, we should take care of her blood sugar level. So in stress, Withania Plex is a supplement, very, very important, which have many ingredient is the ashwagandha, but have many other things also. So it have Brahmi, it have Shankapushpa, basically many things to support our nervous system. So we calm down, and as we are more calm, the stress goes down. Ashwagandha tea, ashwagandha by itself, a decoction, it will be important. Complex is a supplement. If you're not able to sleep well, then Withania Plex or complex combination will be very, very good. Also, there is a supplement called Night Ease. That's also important. So many individuals who are stressed because of stress, they're not able to sleep. So we should be using the Bethania Plex or complex or ashwagandha or Night Ease to get a good restful sleep. Also, if somebody have issue with the heart or heart health, then we should use heart tone, which is a decoction of arjuna and many herbs, so that the heart muscles are tonified and the heart vessels are cleaned. Boswellia and guglu are anti-inflammatory. So again, knowing the cleaning the blood vessels, if something is depositing in the blood vessels or in the heart walls, either high cholesterol or some heavy metal, something else, then the Boswellia or guglu will be a good choice to use. Arjuna is used as a bark. Arjuna tree actually is really good for heart. Bark is used generally, and you can use that as a tea. So it's individuals who have high cholesterol, high blood pressure, or any concern with their cardiovascular health should drink Arjuna tea 2 to 3 times a day. And you can get Arjuna powder or Arjuna bark, and you can put basically take tablespoon of the powder in about 3 to 4 cups of water, boil them, and when it comes to the boiling point, then you may want to add little bit of other things. Basically, I like to add ginger. I like to add a little bit of tulsi powder, a couple of cardamom, and make a tea out of it. And that's the tea you want to drink around throughout the day, every 2 3 hours, whenever you feel like. There's no there's no chemical in there, and there is no basically there's no caffeine, and so this is something which is you can drink entire day to keep the blood vessels clean. Cardio Comfort is also a supplement for those who have high blood pressure. So it cleans the blood vessels, also dilates them, bring the blood pressure down, and keeps the person calm. Also, individuals can use that in the night. Also, with that, they get good sleep. Chawanprash is a tonic in Ayurveda, which keeps the blood vessels healthy, but also the entire body healthy. So in this process, when we're looking at the Chawanprash, it strengthens the entire body. It is an Ayurvedic uh, multivitamin. It's like a jam. So many individuals put that on their bread, in their food, or we recommend they're taking that with milk. So 1 teaspoon in the morning and evening with warm milk, or warm good milk. Or if you don't get the warm good milk from the farm, then you may want to take that with almond milk, or you can put that in your smoothie. So having those actually will be a good thing to have. Treatments reduce stress is very important. So when we find individuals in Ayurveda who have any of this disease, more specifically in this case, we're looking at the cardiovascular disease, heart disease, you want to know what is the cause. If stress is the cause, we reduce the cause. If you're finding they may have toxins or ama, many individuals are working in a place which may have toxins, heavy metals, or occupational toxins, whatever they're making. They may be working in a plastic plant making molding from the from for which you put on the house. So those plastic moldings, plastic fumes are very toxic. Or they may be working in a plant where there are other chemicals used. People who work in the industry of manufacturing, paint, carpentry, there are a lot of glues used. So all these things they inhale are toxic to the body. Also, uh, if they are travelers who eat food which is not cooked well for different sources, and hygiene makes a big difference. So they may have overgrowth of bacteria and parasites in their body. So depending that, we need to clean. So something in Ayurveda we do, which we call panchakarma, is a detox process to clean. That is very important. So individuals, when they find out, and there are now tests available to check the heavy metals or to check the parasites or organobacteria, make sure we clean them. And one thing I like to mention, everything which goes to heart needs to be absorbed by the gut. So making sure the digestive system is working optimum. So reduce stress by Shirodhara. Shirodhara is one of the therapy in Panchakarma. Oil drips goes to your third eye or the pineal gland place, and it taps there for about 45 minutes to an hour, and that reduces that basically balances the pineal gland. And by balancing pineal gland, it balances the pituitary gland. And pituitary gland is the gland which balances all the hormones, all the gland. It's called the master gland. So very, very important. And also supporting the mental and well-being, removing ama by panchakarma, making sure the agni, the heat is optimum. So not to consume anything cold, and also do anything possible to improve the heat, which will consuming more warming things, like I said, warming food, more ginger, more garlic, more saffron, and more soups, and also soaking your feet in the hot water. And ojas, doesn't matter what, you have to boost your immune system. So there are a lot of immune boosting herbs to boost immune system. And if your immune system is good, definitely you will be healthy. Okay, so that keep in mind. We will stop here, a little more over time, but again, I hope we have plenty of time for the answers. Regardless of what we take, health has to be the number one things to take care of. Again, for those, heart is the optimum. You have to get heart to health. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kaushik. That was an excellent presentation.
Thank you.
I'm going to start looking through the chat. If anyone has any questions, please type them in the chat box. I will read them out to Dr. Kaushik and he will answer them for you here. Okay. So the first question is, yes, this program is being recorded and it will be put on the library's YouTube channel. And I will email them out to participants, email a link to the participants.
Perfect.
Okay. One question is, statistics indicate that a virtual angiogram with dye is 99% more accurate than traditional angiogram. If ablations are inconclusive and monitors do read irregular beats, what is the best treatment with Ayurvedic?
So in Ayurvedic medicine, we are looking at so in general, when Ayurveda discuss the prevention, we are not looking at the angiography or those, because we want to prevent before it happens. But if it happens, then we are still looking at the supplements which are going to clean the blood vessels and make the flow better again. And those supplements actually are a little stronger. So it will be a good idea when we discuss those, the reason being, we look at the cause of it. It has to be something which is blocking these blood vessels to begin with. And opening those is the priority. So in modern medicine, when we have these angiography done, or when we are opening or bypassing, the original vessels are blocked completely. And there is not much to clean and open those blood vessels. But in Ayurveda, there are herbs which do take time, but slowly, they will open them up. And so basically, again, these are specific herbs based on the person's body type, or also based on any underlying condition. So basically, the heart disease doesn't happen overnight. There has to be many other conditions. We always start with the leaky gut syndrome. Most of these people have either inflammatory gut syndrome, or maybe inflammatory bowel syndrome, or something happening in their gut health. And that's where the ama or toxins are being produced. And that's where we start with. But again, if somebody have a specific question, they can send me the information and we can go over that.
Okay. The next question is, do beets need to be raw or can they be cooked?
Basically, we do not recommend raw food. Sauteing or cooking is the best, because as we are looking at the heat in the body, we want to provide hot food. So a little sauteing will be good, or cooking will be good. Not overcooking, but some sauteing. But unless you are making a smoothie, in the smoothie, all the particles, all the little fibers are broken down so nicely that the absorption becomes easy. So it becomes like a baby food. But if you are chewing, we have to chew like a cow so until it becomes a paste. And most of individuals do not chew that well. So what Ayurveda says, you should chew equal to the number of teeth you have. So if you have 32 teeth, chew 32 times to give every tooth a chance. And that is not the case. So if you're chewing 5-6 times and swallow, that smoothies work out good. Otherwise, sauteing makes the food a little softer. So when you chew, it is meshes and becomes softer, and extraction of the nutrients becomes easier as it goes inside the lining of the gut, where the movement of the gut lining will mash it and becomes a paste.
Thank you. And what if you are already taking statin drugs? Is it safe to introduce boswellia or, I'm going to mangle this one, gugulu?
Both are safe. Only thing is suggested by most of the cardiologists that the turmeric should be avoided, which I'm not sure why, because turmeric is also a blood thinner. So when you are taking a blood thinner and you take turmeric, you are taking double dose of blood thinner. So I will suggest to, and again, many people who come from the Eastern culture, they will talk to their doctor. They're telling them that if the turmeric is a blood thinner and you're also putting me in a blood thinner, why not I take the double dose of turmeric so that I won't have to take synthetic blood thinner, because turmeric is not only is a good blood thinner, but also it is, like I said, antibiotic, antiseptic, but also it has no side effect. So it's good to discuss the options. But again, Gugulu and boswellia had no problem at all.
Okay, and the next question is, I thought garlic was considered rajasic, like onions. Why are onions not recommended, but garlic is?
Not rajasic, tamasic. So,
okay, thank you.
So onion and garlic are considered tamasic food. And the tamasic food is not recommended if somebody is practicing pure Ayurveda, which means, again, in Ayurveda, there are individuals. So for example, your teacher who is teaching you sitting in front of the class, or somebody who is a doctor looking at teaching, working with patients closely. The reason being the tamasic food, one thing is produces a lot of smell. And the priest, so is because of that organ, it is because of this bad smell, they were considered tamasic food. So the priest, the teacher, the Vaidya, the doctor, so people who work closely with other people should not consume them until they know how to consume them. So they were put in the tamasic category. Otherwise, there was nothing wrong. They are good medicine. So in the Ayurvedic medicine, we use them, but in certain lifestyle, they are forbidden unless you know how to cook them. So the garlic or onion. So the reason I mentioned onion is because the garlic is more potent, much more potent than onion. So that's why we use garlic as a medicine. Onion is just a part of the cooking food, but again, both are considered tamasic. Many individuals consider tamasic anything which is growing inside, under the ground. So even carrot, even potatoes, even turmeric, even ginger, all come into that category. Anything which is growing under the soil, ground, because that is heavy by nature. So anything which grows in the ground is heavy by nature. Anything which is growing in the air, that is lighter. Whatever sits on the ground is coming in the middle of that. Higher the fruit or vegetable is, lighter it is in absorption. So because of the heaviness, it comes under tamasic food. If you use excessive of that, it makes you sluggish. But you can't take so much of garlic and ginger anyway. So in that case, we are not concerned about that part. I hope that answered the question. But it cleans the blood vessels. And so in Ayurveda, if I'm a physician and when they're working with people, then I'm not using the garlic because it's going to create a bad smell. And then I need to learn how to use it. So I will cook that with other herbs, mostly turmeric, a lot of tomatoes, a lot of celery, and put a lot of ghee and cook that. And the turmeric and the the ginger and the tomatoes will take away the smell of the garlic, and the paste will not smell at all. So you have to learn that part also. So cooking is important.
Thank you. The next question is pomegranate recommended? And if so, the seeds or the juice?
The actually the whole the entire seeds are recommended. So basically the seed itself is also really good for heart health. The only thing is that we need to chew them very well. But again, if somebody don't have the patience to take all the seeds out, then you basically go for the juice. Again, make sure it's a fresh extracted juice. But personally, I like to put them in the smoothie, or a lot of pomegranate we use every day, and we use that in the juicing process. Pomegranate, a little bit of ginger, a little bit of turmeric, and put that in smoothie. Celery juice or celery itself, but the seeds are good.
Okay, it looks like that was our last question. Unless anyone has any more questions they'd like to put into the chat. Okay, it looks like that's it. Thank you very, very much, Dr. Kaushik. This was an excellent presentation.
Thank you. And anybody would like to learn about Ayurveda, we also offer classes. You can call the number, we can give more information. Thank you again. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Stay warm and stay safe.